In a world where there's so many influences, do you actually like the things that you claim to like, or do you like them because it's something that you saw on Pinterest or something that you saw on TikTok or Instagram? In a world where aesthetics have become popular and maybe trendy, a lot of things that are in style, do you like it because you like it, or do you like it because it's a trend? Now, in a world, right, there are many fashion trends, and I know a lot of people talk about individualism or individuality and how many people lack individuality. But do people actually lack individuality? Because if two people have the same style, are they not, do they not have individuality if they have similar taste, similar style, but they make it true to themselves? Sure, they might like the same color, but they don't wear the same color the same way. They might love having an earthy style, but one of them wears colorful patterns, but the other wears more neutral patterns. You know, you can always take inspiration, and you can always take style and inspo and make it your own. You know, so I think social media has brought people together in that aspect, and it's brought people together in a sense of helping people find themselves and helping people find their style, helping people find what they like, you know. But it also creates this thing where everybody wants to look the same or be the same because somebody else is doing it. Or, well, it's what's trendy and it's what's popular, so let me do this, you know. I almost feel like people have a lot of fear when it comes to branching out, as if they feel unsafe. Like, they feel unsafe in a sense that, okay, if I do this, I might get made fun of. I mean, look at, you know, in 2025, people are way more judgmental and way more mean than they were in, let's say, 2021, right? I would say people had more empathy back in like COVID era versus now. I feel like people are back to body shaming. I mean, people were always body shaming, but I feel like it's more prominent now. And anytime somebody tries to do something new, people always hate on it until maybe later down the line it becomes a trend. And it's like many people were hating on this, but because so many people love it now, it's like a different story. So when it comes to individuality, right? What is individuality? Individuality is like being unique, being different, not being put in a box, right? Let's say a style is people only wear red shirts and blue jeans, right? But somebody else decides to branch out and wear a blue shirt with black jeans, right? So they're different, they're unique in that sense, right? But we're in an era where it's like we have a lot of we have so much aesthetics at our disposal. There's so many things at our disposal. There's so many things that are trending. Trends change all the time. And it's like everything is just moving so fast, and many people try to just keep up with trends because, you know, they want to be cool. They want to fit in. But what's the point of fitting in if it's not truly who you are? Because you can say that's who you are, but a lot of people don't spend enough time with themselves for them to know who they are. A lot of people don't spend enough time with themselves or getting to know themselves, and they just take on the perception that other people have of them. And I feel like a lot of people should just sit down and just be with themselves, be able to express their opinions. Many people change their opinions on something or their likes on something depending on what other people are saying, what the majority of people are saying. That's kind of like how influencers work. If there are 5 people in a room, 4 of them have one opinion, but the fifth person has a different opinion. The 5th person might feel influenced to change their opinion, right? But there are people who branch out. There are people who are just authentically in their own. They wouldn't change their opinion. They wouldn't change their opinion or their style or anything for anybody, because they know what they like. They know themselves, they know who they are, and they're confident in who they are. There might be a pair of pants that you like, but oh, it's not cool, it's people are gonna make fun of me, da da da. It's like there are so many projects that you probably want to do, but it's like you want to wait for somebody to do it first because you're kind of scared of the feedback that you're gonna get. But why care about the feedback? Just be yourself. But it's so easy to say. It's so easy to say, oh, just be yourself. Why care about the feedback? Because how is it not? How can you just not care? There's so much hatred everywhere. How can you not care? Sure, they'd be like, oh well, you get like so many positive comments and so on and so forth, but that one negative comment is always going to stick with you because it's going to make you think, okay, but maybe they're right. Like negativity, let's look into negativity first. Like, why does this make me feel this way, and why do I overthink it when I'm getting thousands of positive comments? What is 5 hateful comments versus 1,000 positive comments, and why is it so hard to look only at the positive comments? Now, why do our brains only focus on the negative? Well, when you get something negative, it's going to create a more emotional threat almost, right? When you get something positive, right? Yeah, you're happy, blah, 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 it makes you feel good. But when something makes you feel bad, that's like a red flag for your brain. The brain is like, okay, this is not safe territory, this is a threat. So you begin to overthink it, so on and so forth. So it's way easier to think about the negative because your brain is going to be like, okay, that's unsafe, so we have to be more cautious of it, right? That's something that can be learned. Of course, we can learn to just not look at the negative, and whilst it might take time, we can always do it, right? But this topic is not about negativity. The topic is about individualism and why more people aren't being individual. Well, when you're in society and on social media where you're always looking into somebody else's life, how can you be able to focus on your own life? A lot of people, we're on TikTok, we'll watch streamers, YouTubers, Instagram models, so on and so forth, and there's always like trends being pushed onto us all the time. So there's so many things that we're seeing, so many things that we're viewing, so many things that we can like. We can have like thousands of different aesthetics and don't know which one to choose from. Well, if we didn't have all that, what would we do? If we didn't have social media, what would we do? Well, we'd focus more on ourselves. We'd focus more on what we like. We'd focus more on our opinions and what we care about rather than other people. I mean, back in the day, I'm sure like they probably did have, like back in the day, there were trends. There were also trends that people were seeing, that people were following, so on and so forth, right? But now I would say, whilst it's the same, it's a bit different because we don't just have one set style. We have thousands of styles, right? Some people want to go back to the 90s. People want to be more futuristic. Somebody wants to have a more goth aesthetic. Somebody wants to have a more earthy aesthetic, so on and so forth, right? And I think it's beautiful to be able to choose, to see many things and choose what you like, but I feel like it's distasteful when it's almost like everybody's just following a trend rather than being themselves. Because if two people like an earthy aesthetic, they can still be themselves. But if everybody's likes an earthy aesthetic, so everybody's doing an earthy aesthetic, and then boom, a new aesthetic comes, they immediately change to that. That's not good. First of all, that causes overconsumption. First of all, that might be an identity crisis. We're supposed to be able to form our own identity and form our own beliefs without any influences. But there are always going to be influences. But because of social media and so much you can see and so much that's available to you, there's many influences. And I also feel like a lot of us are using social media wrongly. Instead of using social media for inspiration and for creativity, social media kind of puts us in a slump and leaves us overthinking and confused. So in conclusion to that, do you like what you like, or is it just trending right now? Trends open doors for you to see many things and to be able to learn new things about yourself. A trend comes along and you realize that you really like that, so you do some research on it and so on and so forth. But is it going to be like that with every single trend? Like, are you going to change every time a new trend comes on? Or are you just going to be like, okay, I don't really like this. It's not really part of what I go for, so I'm not going to partake in it. But anyways, this is the video. I feel like a lot of the time we're just influenced, and whilst we can claim, oh, let's be individual, sometimes it can be hard when it feels like an unsafe space for you to be individual. And I also want to preface that you taking inspiration and being influenced doesn't mean that you lack individuality either.
The, self-judgment and the judgment of others, and that opinions seem so flooded in your everyday in such a drastic and severe way. It's so scary, because the hope is really that you can find your own sort of compass within all of it, and that seems like it's a difficult task now, and is I don't know the future of that, but yeah, it's something that's on my mind a lot.